They say every shadow belongs to someone. It follows you from childhood. It grows with you. And when you die, it disappears with you. At least that's what Alice believed, until the night she bought a lantern from a roadside antique stall. It was raining when Alice found the stall beneath an enormous banyan tree. There was no sign, no name, just a wooden table covered with strange old things, rusted keys, cracked mirrors, pocket watches, faded photographs. And among them sat a small brass lantern. Alice picked it up. The elderly seller immediately reached for it. "That one isn't for sale." Alice raised an eyebrow. "Then why put it here?" The old man stared at the lantern. "Because sometimes people take things they shouldn't." Alice smiled and placed a few coins on the table. The old man reluctantly accepted them. As she turned to leave, he called after her. "One warning." Alice stopped. "Never light it after midnight." She glanced at the lantern. "Why?" The old man didn't answer. He simply said, "Before the flame burns, it belongs to you." Alice frowned. "And after?" The old man looked directly at her. "After the flame burns," he lowered his voice, "something else may belong to you." Alice laughed. She thanked him and walked away. She didn't notice the old man's expression. He looked less like someone who had sold an object, and more like someone who had just passed a curse to someone else. Alice reached the edge of town just before midnight. Rain tapped against the road. The street was empty. She looked at the lantern. Curiosity won, at exactly 12 o'clock. Alice lit it. The flame came alive. Not yellow, not orange, black. Only for a heartbeat. Then it became a pale blue flame. Alice stared. Her shadow stretched across the wet road. Then it moved. Alice froze. Her shadow took a step forward. She hadn't moved. Another step. Alice slowly lifted her hand. The shadow didn't copy her. It kept walking. Alice dropped the lantern. The flame went out. Her shadow snapped back beneath her feet. She stood there, breathing hard. Then she laughed nervously. "Okay." She picked up the lantern. Definitely getting rid of that. She didn't know that the moment she had lit it, the curse had already begun. The next morning, Alice noticed something strange. Her reflection was delayed. She brushed her hair. Her reflection continued brushing after she stopped. Only for a second. But it was enough. Alice stepped away from the mirror. Her reflection smiled. Alice didn't. She covered the mirror and tried to forget the whole thing. Then she found an old family photograph. Her parents. Her brother. Alice. Everyone was there. Except Alice's face was blurred. She grabbed another photograph. The same thing. Another. Again. Her face was fading. Alice immediately returned to the roadside stall. But there was nothing there. No table. No objects. No old man. Only the banyan tree. Then she heard a voice behind her. "You lit it after midnight." Alice turned. The old seller stood beneath the tree. She held up the lantern. "What is happening to me?" The old man looked at the unlit flame. "You borrowed a shadow. What does that mean?" "That lantern belonged to a man who lost his." Alice stared at him. "And now?" The old man sighed. "Now the shadow needs someone else." "How do I get rid of it?" "You don't. There has to be a way." "There is." Alice waited. The old man pointed at the lantern. "Give the shadow another life." Alice's expression hardened. "No. Then it will keep taking pieces of yours." That night, Alice tried to destroy the lantern. She smashed it against a stone. Nothing happened. She threw it into the river. It disappeared beneath the black water. Alice waited. 1 second. 2. 3. Nothing. She turned away. Then she heard something behind her. Clink. The lantern rolled across the ground. Alice slowly turned. It was completely dry, and the flame was burning, pale blue. Beside it stood a second shadow. Alice hadn't moved. The shadow had. It stretched toward her feet, and then stopped. From that night onward, Alice followed the lantern's rules. She discovered them one by one. The lantern only burns after midnight. When the flame burns, the borrowed shadow can move independently. When the flame goes out, the shadow returns to Alice, and every night the flame remained lit. The shadow became stronger. Alice began losing things. First her reflection, then photographs, then memories. Friends forgot conversations they'd had with her. Her name disappeared from old documents. Even her brother sometimes paused before saying her name, as though searching for something he couldn't remember. But Alice was still there, alive, watching herself slowly become a stranger. One night she looked into the mirror. Her reflection stared back. But this time, it wasn't delayed. It moved before Alice did. The reflection smiled. Alice didn't. Then it whispered, "You're running out of time." Alice stepped backward. The lantern beside her suddenly burst into flame. The borrowed shadow appeared behind her, tall, thin, almost human. And for the first time, Alice understood what it wanted. It didn't want to kill her. It wanted to replace her. Every memory people lost of Alice made the shadow more real. Every photograph that forgot her face gave the shadow another piece of hers. And when everyone forgot Alice completely, there would be nothing left to separate them. Alice returned to the banyan tree one final time. The old seller was waiting. She placed the lantern on the ground. "I won't give it another person." The old man nodded. "Then you know what happens." "I do." "You will keep losing yourself." "I know." And eventually, he stopped. Alice finished the sentence. "I'll become the shadow." The old man said nothing. Alice looked at the lantern. Its blue flame flickered. And she remembered something. The old man's first warning. Before the flame burns, it belongs to you. And after, something else may belong to you. Alice understood. The lantern wasn't merely carrying the shadow. It was holding it. The flame was the only thing keeping the borrowed shadow tethered to the living world. So Alice did something the old man hadn't expected. She opened the lantern. The blue flame went out. The shadow rose from the ground. For one terrible moment, it stood directly in front of Alice. It had her face, her eyes, her smile. Then it stepped forward and passed straight through her. The lantern fell silent. The shadow disappeared. Alice collapsed beneath the banyan tree. When she woke the next morning, the curse seemed gone. Her reflection moved normally. Her photographs showed her face. Her brother remembered her. Her name was back in every document. Alice was alive. She had won. At least, that's what she thought. Because when she stepped into the morning sunlight, she saw her shadow beneath her feet. One shadow, exactly where it should be. Alice smiled. Then she noticed something. Several feet ahead, another shadow stood on the road. It didn't belong to anyone. It simply waited. Alice stopped. The shadow turned toward her. And slowly, it raised its hand. Alice didn't. The brass lantern was never found. But some nights, people walking past the old banyan tree claim they see a pale blue light beneath its branches. And sometimes, they see a woman standing beside it. A woman who looks exactly like Alice. If you ever see her, don't speak, don't follow her. And whatever you do, don't let your shadow touch hers. Because Alice survived the curse, but she never truly escaped it.